Are you a racing? Are you lucky enough to have qualified and will be racing the World Championships in Marbella this year on the 8th and 9th of November? Well, if so, here's a quick video that's going to be very useful for you because in it we talk to two of experienced coaches and a World Championship qualifier will talk through his recent reconnaissance of the actual Marbella course, which will tell you exactly what you need to know about the water quality, the water temperature, the road, the what that bike course is going to be like, and the run course. So let's get to it. Now, who are we? My name is Coach Steve, and I am an Ironman U certified coach, but more recently a YouTuber who specializes in YouTube videos. I also work very closely in Smart Endurance Solutions with my business partner, Coach Mark Rushby here, who is a very talented and a coach and athlete, and he's going to give him a little bit of background before we dive into the course recon. Mark, a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Steve. Well, firstly, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Background, I've been in a triathlon, I suppose, for the last 10 to 12 years, been coaching for the last 6 years, and done quite a few different Ironman races, qualified 3 times for Kona, and this is my second qualification for 7.3 champs.
Cool. And again, the key thing here is Mark literally is back from a week reconnaissance where he's in Marbella and going checking out the entire course from just make sure because Mark doesn't leave any stone unturned. He's like one of the guys. Again, you don't qualify for the world champs without doing your prep and your prep work beforehand, and this is part of his prep. So he's bounced down from Northern Ireland down to Marbella, and this is we're going to pick his brain on a little bit on what to expect on the day. So let's dive into the swim course. Right. So it is a one loop course on the swim. Mark, what was your you actually swam the course? What was your feedback on it?
Yeah, it's a typical med swim course. The day I did it, it was reasonable conditions. Swam it at first light. Plenty. It's not a deep drop off from the beach. The beach is nice and sandy. It's not rocky, so you're literally running in straight into reasonably warm water. There wasn't particularly choppy. Wasn't any swell. I did float around for a few minutes to see if there was any particular current. And the day I did it, there wasn't. I pretty much maintained the same position, which is a good indication of limited current. And yeah, there wasn't much out of the ordinary with the swim. Plenty of nice sighting points on the way back in. When you're heading out to sea, there's obviously very little, but coming back in around the pier section there, you come into T1, there's plenty of sighting points, really good high visuals to bring you back in. So all in all, it's a really nice swim pool.
Nothing of notes in terms of marine life that people need to worry about.
No, nothing at all. Running in, it was quite shallow for the first, first 5 meters, maybe 10 meters, and then you can get into swimming. But it wasn't a really, unlike Barcelona where you're into a shelf drop off and you're literally straight into 2 meters of water. This is a nice, gentle, run in from the beach. Not particularly steep, no stones, nothing untoward on the seabed that would concern me. And good visibility, and the water temperature was nice. It will be a wetsuit legal swim based on my recce. I don't think it's going to get anywhere near non-wetsuit.
Okay, excellent. And in terms of the exit point, as you said, is it the same sort of gradual exit out of the water? Will you be sort of digging for sand and then sort of doing the hop run out of the water, or is it an easy exit out of the water?
No, it'll be absolutely that, Steve. It's really good visibility, so you can see how low you are or how close you are to the seabed, and then it'll be a case of getting up, doing either your dolphin dives or your high knee runs into the shoreline.
Fantastic. And then into transition. Looks like it's a slightly split transition. For transition one, we have the area there, that little blue area. It looks like it's on the beach for transition one, or was that clear from your recce?
It was unclear because obviously there was no indications of where it would be, but yeah, I noted that on the course maps that T1 is there and T2 is slightly northwest of T1, just across that road. But it's a fairly flat area, but there's deck chairs and and umbrellas and the restaurant there. So I'm not really sure if that's an accurate representation of where T1 is going to be. So I think that's a case of getting there. When you arrive there, just go and have a nosy to see exactly what that looks like. It was unclear from when I was there, and there was no way to determine the actual location of T1 versus T2.
Okay, cool. And we'll talk a little bit about the logistics of the race itself in terms of the race day at the end. Okay, so thanks for the swim. Anything else we add there, or we'll move on to the bike course, which a lot of people will be interested in?
Just, I suppose, one thing that, if you've got, friends and family spectating, um, part of what you can see there, sort of the pier around the marina, around T1, if that's accessible on race day to spectators, it would be a really good visual place to watch your athletes coming in from the swim, because it's a lot higher than the T1 and the actual sea. So be a good location to watch.
Fantastic. Excellent. Alrighty. So let's move on to the bike course. Actually, before you do, by the way, give Mark a thumbs up, as I said, for giving up his time talking about his experience and sharing his knowledge on that. And again, for people who are looking to get other course review videos for when you're qualifying your next qualification attempt, I have do a lot of all at this stage, more or less all the 70.3s covered in my channel. So make sure you go check that out. But otherwise, thumbs up for Mark and saying thanks. And let's go on to our bike course. Okay, so this is a quick. There's a lot of talk about this bike course being quite a challenging one. And actually, this morning, myself and Mark were on Training Peaks Virtual, and Mark was very good. Was very good in terms of he uploaded the GPX file. So we to Training Peaks Virtual, and we went through the actual elevation profile. We saw all the switchbacks, etc. So that's a great way as well, and we'll have a video in the comments below to show you how to do that later on. But what's even better is having someone who's literally ridden the course to talk through it. So, Mark, what can people expect on the course? What was your experience? Road surface? Are the hills tough? Are the hills easy? What's your feedback?
Yeah, it's I can't argue with the challenging nature of the course. It's a spectacular course, but it is a challenging course. Coming out of, do you want to we'll walk through the course and key points of it?
Yep, absolutely. As I said, we'll, in terms of like the first kind of main climb seems to come before around 8K or so. Do you want to just even talk through that? And we'll shout out where the aid stations are as we go along, any sort of switchbacks and road surface changes. I think that'd be great.
Sure. So coming out of T1, we've got a reasonable section of warm up, not too flat. Really good road surfaces, going out through sort of Portabanas, heading towards Marbella. A lot of junctions and stuff which will be closed. Some really nice roundabouts, and I say nice because they've all got nice architecture built on them, so some visual things to look at. But it's flattish until you get to that five. I think it's the 5 mile marker there, just before 10Ks, when you're essentially turning left. Once you turn left, that's really the start of the climb. So that's a bit of a kicker off the main road onto upgoing heading north. Bit of a kicker, 8-9% of a climb going up there, and then it's a major road with 2 lanes going up and 1 lane coming back down, if I recall correctly. So plenty of space. The road surface is smooth, really good road surface. Until we get to the point where you've got the box section out to the left, Steve, where we're going to go in through the town. So you're climbing on that main road until we come off the A road, and then we're going in towards a little town where the first aid station is. So when you come off that main road, you're coming off essentially, it's similar to a motorway exit. You're going out off a ramp or onto a ramp, and the road surface on that particular ramp section is poor. It's delaminated in places, and that section is really steep. It's a 10 to 12% incline just to get off that main road onto the back road. It's really short, probably 400 meters, but just be mindful of that. You've been climbing for a few miles already, and then you're into that little kicker. Once you're at the top of that kicker, there's a little bit of downhill into a town. So it'll break up the ride a little bit into a town, past some houses. There's no speed humps or anything or any particular hazards through the town. And you go through the town, and then we're into back onto the climb again. So you get a little bit of respite, and then back into the climbing. And we then would climb up past the aid station, continue to climb up through some forested area, which is really nice and sheltered, and then into the switchbacks at the top. So when you're looking up towards the switchbacks, you will see the main road you've just come off, but that's a lot higher up. So don't be looking up thinking, "Oh my God, I'm going to climb all the way to the top of that." You will join that road, but a bit lower than you'll see in your line of sight. Switchbacks, road surface is superb. There was no potholes, nothing to concern you from a road surface perspective, and the switchbacks aren't particularly tight. It's just nice flowing corners, get you up to that elevation onto that top of that main road, and then from that point, then we've got a downhill section. Essentially, when you get to the top of that climb up to the second aid station, you've done 15 or 20 kilometers at that point. So you've got your second aid station, and then you're into a super fast downhill section. There's a couple of rises in it, but the speed you're going to carry into those rises are going to pretty much null them out. The only thing around this downhill section is you do go across a couple of bridges. It's fairly open, so if it is a windy day and there's a lot of crosswinds, just be mindful of crossing those bridges across a valley. And if the winds come up the valley, you could get a few pushes from crosswinds at that point. So just something to be mindful of. Couple of bits of uneven tarmac where the road surface is cracked slightly, but nothing that would trap a wheel. And trust me, I've experience of that. Nothing that would trap a wheel or have any major concerns on the bike at that point. We're then on this main road up to the 50k or the 20-mile point. You come off the main road, another little bit of a kicker coming off the road out to a turnaround point where we've got another aid station, a 180 turn back down to the same junction and back then again onto this main road, which we're then on until we get to the 30-mile point and another 180 turn at the end. Once you get to that furthest point at the end there, it's pretty much then a 20k rolling climb back to the top of the switchback. You're on the same road, you're not coming off it at all, and it is just you either going up or slight declines. It's fairly constant, but again, the road surface is exceptional, and other than any crosswinds that you may get or any head or tailwind, there's nothing untoward there that would concern me. But when you do get to where you join the main road after the switchbacks, that's in some places a technical descent. You can see on the square section on the map, and praise to Ironman for not bringing us back down the switchbacks, because that would have been a technical, fairly challenging descent. The descent on the main road, yes, there are turns, but I was doing it in traffic, so I wasn't able to take the racing line through them. But on the day, taking the racing line through those, you'll be able to hold a decent amount of speed with depending on your bike skills, and carrying a lot of speed down that descent back into the town, and then onto that flattish section back into T2. Like I say, there's no major concerns about potholes or anything. Coming back into Portobanos, just be mindful there are some manholes and a couple of potholes, but nothing that would cause a massive concern to me.
Okay, and you actually did this on a road bike in your recce, but you'll definitely be using your time trial bike for the World Champs.
Yeah, I think that was the beauty of doing the recce on a road bike, because that seeing the road surface, seeing the amount of straight, non-technical descending, and the road surface definitely has encouraged me to use a TT bike for this course. That there'll be a lot of time spent in the aero position, once they get across that first climb at the 15 to 20k point. The rest of that will be pretty much TT and coming out the saddle the odd, or coming off the bars the odd time for some of the climbs on the way back. On the way back, the climbs aren't as steep. So the actual percentage gradient is way less coming back. Imagine it's 15k out and 20k back, so you've got less elevation, therefore the angle of the climb or the degree of the climb is a lot less.
Cool, yeah. And aid station wise, look, it's precision hydration, which our American compatriots will be delighted is not mortal hydration, and they may be a little bit jealous when they return home to their North American races that they have to drink mortal berry on the bike, where they'll see what our precision hydration us Europeans are spoilt with. You use precision hydration products in general in your fueling and hydration, don't you?
I do, Steve. Yeah, I'm a big fan of precision hydration. I think one thing to note, though, and I'm sure anybody who's qualified has experienced this previously, precision hydration is the electrolyte only drink. There's no carbohydrates in those drinks. So just make sure your fueling strategy takes that into account, and don't expect those bottles to contain any carbohydrate. Excellent taste and really good salt and hydration content within them, but no carbs.
Okay, cool. Anything else on the bike course you want to throw in from any other key takeaways you went, actually, wow, I didn't know that, or that's really, really handy to pick up, or just was it mainly about road surface and the elevation changes and switchbacks that you took away from that recce?
Yeah, the biggest thing I took from it was definitely, for me, it was a time trial bike course, and also getting an understanding of what gearing I needed to to be able to ride the course without grinding.
What gear ratio are you going for now? What did you change, or what are you going to be? Or are we giving
Yeah,
away too much to your competitors?
no, it's fine. So I rode it on a rental bike, and that was a 52 30 gearing ratio, and my TT bike is a one by, so I'll be riding a 50 36, and that extra 3 gears at the six cogs at the back, I suppose, or 6 teeth at the back, will give me the ability then to not grind too much going up those switchbacks.
Cool, excellent. All right. And then back into our transition, which again we should have mentioned earlier. They're going to be using the blue red bags. Actually, that's a point for some of our American viewers. A lot of the North American races do not use the blue red transition bag system. So I'll put that video in the comments below. It just means that what they use in the World Champs here, they call it a clean transition versus a traditional transition, where Ironman involves you to pack everything in a blue bag for your swim to bike, and then there's a red bag in your bike to run. And they're all set up on racks traditionally, and you need to have packed that beforehand, and you'll check them in the day before. There's a link in the comments below to actually go through that, because we're making the assumption majority of the people at these races will be Europeans, as it is a European World Champs. And this is, again, they'll have the European standard, which is the clean transition. So I could put that in the link below. Now, will we move on to the run course? We shall indeed. Bum, bum, bum. Alrighty, run course. So, oops, there we go. So, run course, we had a quick chat in this beforehand. It's 2 laps. It looks quite flat, even though that's again, the classic Ironman graph might be a little bit misleading. What was your experience of checking out the run course in terms of the surface and the elevation, anything of note, the turnaround points? What was your feedback on that?
Yeah, it's an interesting run course. There's some mixed terrain which we'll go through, a couple of out and backs, and but yeah, let's walk through the run course. So come out of T2, and then you're up and down to the first aid station. So there's your first sort of out and back section, which is where your first more precision hydration and on the map is there. So go up to there, turn around, come back in onto the sort of coastal path. At this point, it's tarmac or paving stones. We're out on that. We then go onto a wooden bridge section. So there's a bit of elevation that comes in there because there's a ramp. It's not steps, so there's a ramp up.
Okay.
The boards can be loosened in some aspects, not particularly even in that it's weathered wood. But again, I didn't find anything that was anything concerning. So a bit of a climb there just to wake the legs up. Across the if you look on the map there, Steve, you've got a round by the 13 and 1. Between those, you've got like a river. That's essentially what the bridge is crossing.
Oh yeah.
So you cross that, and then you come back down a ramp again, and then up down to another out and back where it says the 7 on the map. Do the out and back there, back on to then what then turns into a sandy terrain rather than tarmac or rather than paving slabs. So you're on to the sand at that point. Now the day I did it, it was compact. It's not uneven. It's not like Barcelona where there's uneven sections. It's a really decent surface to run on. It was tailwind that particular day. It does seem to be the prevailing wind direction. Would be tailing on there, which was quite nice. You weren't getting any sand or anything blown into your face. I did run it on both days, and one day I ran it the opposite direction, and the sand in your face was being picked up a little by the strength of the wind. So hopefully it's a tailwind going out there. I mean, it's a lovely area to run in. There's some cafes dotted around. There's plenty of things to look at, and you're right beside the Med. It's a really nice run route, and it's nice to get off tarmac and paving stones, especially on a warm day, because it won't be reflecting as much heat. So again, I thought that was a really nice section. The aid stations seem to be in really good positions, and then we're out towards the furthest point away from Portobanas. And then we're up to the aid station. There's a little bit of a climb coming off the beach, not much, and then you're into this green section on the map. Now that there was a construction site around there when I was there, but I managed to get around the course without any issues. And then the climb really that you can see on the map is going across a overpass across the main road. That's
Yeah.
that's where that particular sort of elevation point on the map comes in. It's going over that main road, coming back down the other side, which is the descent, and then essentially running on that main road back into town. Now that main road, it's going to be definitely a course of two halves in that. Across the beach will be lovely. I'm sure there'll be quite a lot of spectators around the beach area, and then you're onto that main road where you'll be in your own headspace at that point. I wouldn't imagine there wasn't too much around there, as in villas or anything else, shops and stuff. So I can't imagine there's going to be a huge amount of support there. And then you turn left and you head for town. Coming around the back of essentially T2, and then you've got another out and back, which is down around a really nice tree-lined avenue with a cycle route down the middle of it. So I'm not sure if we're going to be on the road or on the cycle path. But again, road surface is superb. There'll be some shade in that area because it's tree-lined, and I'd imagine the support around that area will be phenomenal. Do that
Was
loop.
it warm when you were running there? Like, it is going to be November in Spain, so like it's not going to be. We're not talking kind of Lanzarote temperatures or like Mallorca temperatures. Is it going to be temperate? What would you expect temperature wise?
I think it's going to still be a reasonable temperature. Like this week in Marbella area or Portobanas, which is where the race is, it's topping out on 28 degrees this week. And when I was there, it was 25, 26. So I'm still going to be in the mid 20s. I can't believe it. I don't think it's going to be anything less than the mid 20s. So still be warm enough. If you're traveling from the UK and colder climes or any other parts of Europe that aren't in their summer months and maybe a little bit cooler, it's going to be a bit of a change in temperature.
Okay, fair enough. And so heat management might be an issue if you're coming from a colder climate. Anything
Yeah.
else then on the run course that jumped out at you that you took away from it?
Yeah, there's a couple of sections that we go on to here. Once you come down that out of back along the Treeline Avenue, you turn right then and you go down onto the harbour. Bit of a ramp to get onto the harbour wall, or the marina wall, I should say. That's going to be exposed. There's no shelter on that marine wall. It's hard concrete, so that will be quite hard to run on, as in impactful on the legs, I should say. And again, there will be zero shelter across that wall. So out to the end of the pier, back the other end of the pier and back, and then you're essentially back onto the second lap of the course around the run course again.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay, so it does seem to be a little bit of mixed terrain in it, and the elevation, as I said, is not, aside from that overpass, which gives us that kind of rise here where you have to do twice. Nothing else of real note to be concerned of.
no, nothing at all. I mean, it's a nice course. Like I say, it's a course of two halves. You get nice mixed environments to run in. I would say support in one half and not in the other. And yeah, it's not. It wouldn't be a boring course by any stretch of the imagination. It'd be quite interesting, I would have thought.
Cool, excellent. Alrighty, cool. We'll move on, and then here, do we know if Christian Blumenfeld is racing? Do
He
we
is
know?
racing. He is. Yes. Well, he's his Instagram is he's trialing a road bike with a disc wheel on. Now,
Oh,
how the Norwegians go and put out a bit of false press before races just to confuse everybody else. So I don't know if he'll turn up with his road bike and disc wheel, but we shall see.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see whether or not anyone can break into the Norwegian trio now, or whether it was a Casper and Gustav will be there and just like sort of just continuing the absolute dominance of Norway this year.
Yeah,
But brilliant as
and
well.
the female races as well. Yeah, and the female athletes as well dominating, or the Norwegian athlete dominating Kona as well.
No, absolutely, and it's like that. It's gonna be cool to rub shoulders with all these guys and all the rest. Like, and they're I've got a couple of athletes at the World Champs, and they're actually, if you're polite and all the rest, and you're not sort of like in their face, that they're good with selfies. They're good with they'll say hello and all the rest. Like in the few days beforehand, like anyone else, when they're in race mode, don't go near them. As I'm like, this is their job. But now it's brilliant. And actually, right, who do you think is going to win the 70.3 Worlds?
I think I think it would be hard to go past Casper, to be honest, given his performance. So if
I
he's
think Gustav,
racing,
if Gustav races it this year, I think actually just because I've seen what he does at 70.3, and I think maybe Casper's, I almost would find it. How could he get overly excited to win the 70.3 Worlds after he's exceeded all expectations?
that's a good point. Yeah, how motivated will he be? Yeah,
But they do love that. They do love the kind of like the Christian, when you talk to them, they went, yeah, no, we're going to do 70.3 and in Kona, like. And they're greedy like that, which is just not greedy. They're just incredibly competitive. You kind of have to admire that. And we won't rule you out of the mix as well, Mark. As in, like, how shocked will he, Kirsten Blumenfeld, be when you beat him in a sprint finish up the and you take that tape ahead of him?
I keep threatening my son that I'm going to run beside him as when they come past, and I will come past me. When they come past me, run beside him and get my 2 minutes of, well, I'll be lucky to get 2 minutes of TV fame, but we shall see. When they come
like,
past me,
like the
at,
London Marathon
at,
where the guy sprinted
yeah,
out and made
exactly,
it for the
exactly that. When they're coming past me at 3:20 pace, yeah.
Nice. Alrighty. Okay. Cool. So a little bit on the timetable, and then we will wrap it up there. Now, again, by the way, this video is not meant to was it replace reading the athlete's guide when it comes out and kind of attending a briefing, etc. It's meant to supplement it. This is us tapping into an athlete like yourself, a really kind of analytical guy like a coach Mark, going and sharing his wisdom. But like, do read the athlete drive, do attend the briefings, etc. Things change. But in terms of what the red schedules up Wednesday and Thursday registration is available for all 9 till 6. There are on Thursdays there are athlete briefings in all the different languages, so make sure you figure out what your language is. Friday, men can register between 1 and 6 because they're obviously not racing until Sunday. Women's races on Saturday, so therefore they'll need to drop their the bike and bags. And again, Americans, this is your red and blue bags action, and you pick up a timing chip between 12 and 6. For the Saturday, transition is open from 6 a.m. till 8 a.m. Saturday is for the female rolling age group. Rolling start is at 8 a.m. Pros go off a little bit beforehand, so maybe you won't catch them. Was it Mark? They're going to give them a head start. A bit unfair. Sunday, that should be a Sunday there. That's so the sorry, actually no. On Saturday for the men, the Saturday you drop off your bike and your bag, but you're slightly later because obviously they need to clear out transition. So you've got from 1:30 till 7:30. Same sort of timetable on the Sunday for you. Transition open at 6 until 8, and then the rolling age groups start at 8 a.m. And when are you heading out, Mark? And what's your plans? You going out very early, or what's the plans for logistic wise?
Not heading out too early. Going to head out on the Thursday, so registration on Friday. Easy rest day, or chilling out on Saturday, watching. Not going too far to watch the female pros and age groupers. Trying to stay local. I've managed to get a really nice accommodation on the run course, so we can sit and watch the run and see them coming in off the bike, and then obviously race day Sunday, and then flying back on Monday.
Sounds good. Actually, that's sorry, and apologies for my point. I only said that asked about the men's because I was looking at Christian. Females, who's going to win?
Oh, I don't know. Such a stacked field. I'm not sure who I would want to put my money on. What's your thoughts?
I definitely think it is redemption day for Taylor or Lucy. It's one of those two. And I think actually they'll have learned lessons. If they're on the start line, and I must check the start line, one of them is walking away with the trophy this year because, like, probably a little bit of overexcitement in terms of the competitive spirit between the two of them. But I think both of them will learn a lesson. And if I was to put a metaphorical gun to my head, I'm gonna go with Taylor actually because I was so impressed by her biking and her and by the way, great person. Love Lucy Charles to bits, but Taylor's on that starting line. She's a first one across the finish line.
Yeah, I'm not sure about. I wonder how the heat impacted her. Are there any sort of not long term, medium term recovery aspects of her heat exhaustion? And again, Lucy, again, wonder how impacted they were by that. So it'd be interesting to see actually who rocks on the start list. Actually, yeah.
No, it will be. We'll do our predictions short as well later on. We'll have a little chat on that one. Okay, cool. We are going to now again. Just a massive thanks to Mark for his time and his energy. It was an all expenses paid trip, which I clearly footed the bill for, sending him over to Marbella. If you forgot to submit the invoices and the receipts, Mark, that's the window, the expenses window is now closed. Sorry about that. But Mark is an absolute super coach. He's not only gone to a number of world championships, he's also got athletes to the world championships. So if you want to just tap into that knowledge, and he's just a very, very good guy, drop him. There's his email address to hit him up for some last minute tips. And by the way, if you want to get to the world champs or you want to improve at the world champs, he is an absolutely brilliant guy to get in your corner. So do check him out. Mark, any last minute words to people that you're going to try to beat the life out of in the race course on Sunday?
Well, just hope everybody enjoys the day. Just be mindful of that descent coming off the down the main road. It is going to be quick, and there'll be a lot of people in full aero kit on TT bikes. So be mindful on that descent. I suppose the only thing that I forgot to mention there, because it will be absolutely rapid.
Fantastic. And by the way, there's Mark's email address again. Make sure you write it down. It is, as I said, he's a great guy. Great, and he's a great guy to work with, and business partner wise, he's a great guy to race against, etc. And we wish Mark the very best of success in Marbella. We will leave it there. Thank you ever so much, Mark. And we will be tracking you and all the rest on race day. And for the rest of the athletes and the viewers, have a great day out there. You've already have achieved something massive by qualifying. We do hope that you get the race day experience you're looking for. It is a challenging course. It is something that you will hard-earned medal. And if it's a podium you end up in your age group, etc., that is absolutely massive too. And I hope you have wonderful experiences out there. And we will leave it there. Thanks, guys.
Michael, cheers. Bye-bye.
And like and subscribe. I always make that. And comment. Let us know. Enjoy the video or any questions. As in, like, there you go. Seamless. I really need to work on my scripting better. All right, we'll leave it there.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.